This crisis, like the others that we have weathered, reminds us that we are strongest as a transatlantic community when we live our values, when we share the burden and expense of leadership, and when we balance our diplomatic, military, and economic tools. That was true in the Balkans in the 90s, in Afghanistan after September 11th, in tackling Ebola, and now also as we seek to support Ukraine and defend against Russian aggression to our east. Even as we focus on ISIL, we must not forget that barely 2 years ago, almost 1 million Ukrainians stood for days and weeks in the snow on the Maidan to demand that their government give them what we already have: human dignity, democracy, clean government, and justice. When Yanukovych turned his back on Europe, Ukrainians would not be denied their European choice. But that was unacceptable, both to Yanukovych and to the Kremlin, which met the Ukrainian people's demand with occupation, tanks, Buk missiles, support for separatists, sabotage, and propaganda. Today, 93% of Ukraine survives as a democratic state in association with Europe because Ukrainians fought and died for their rights and for our common values, and because our nation stood with the people of Ukraine. We have given political, economic, and security support. We have imposed successively harsh rounds of sanctions to bring Russia to the negotiating table, and we have supported a diplomatic resolution to the conflict via the Minsk agreements and the Normandy talks led by Germany and France. Now we have to help Ukraine see this through. We have to maintain pressure on Russia and its separatist proxies to complete the unfinished commitments of Minsk, including the return of all hostages, full humanitarian access for UN agencies and NGOs, free, fair elections in Donbas under the Ukrainian constitution and monitored by ODIHR, the removal of all foreign forces and weapons, and the return of the international order to Ukraine. Sanctions are an essential tool for holding Russia accountable. They must be rolled over until Minsk is fully implemented, and we must keep our Crimea sanctions in place until Russia returns the peninsula to its rightful owner. And because the best antidote to Russian aggression and malign influence is Ukraine's success as a democratic, prosperous European state, the Ukrainian government must continue to live up to its promises to its own people and to the international community. Much difficult work remains to clean up endemic corruption throughout the government and society, to stabilize the economy, to break the hold of corrupt state enterprises and oligarchs, and to reform the justice system, including the prosecutor's office. But the will is there. Ukraine's own people are demanding a faster pace of change. We help them most when we condition our own sustained support on Ukraine continuing to clean up its own house. As NATO allies, we are also supporting those countries on the alliance's eastern edge that worry that they could be the Kremlin's next victims. Our persistent military presence on land, sea, and air in Poland, Romania, Bulgaria, and the Baltic states sends a powerful message of deterrence. We call on all allies to continue to contribute generously to this mission, 28 for 28, even as we call on allies in the East to show solidarity with those countries facing security challenges from the South. Unfortunately, none of this is cheap.